Here we go. Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of Gamestar Arts Talking Tuesdays. I'm Richard Cook, your host. Every week we're going to be talking to different gaming personalities and asking them questions about what they're doing, all kinds of cool things, having some cool discussion. And today we have with us a guy you might have seen at the many conventions he attends around the U.S. right now, and you might have seen him on the news talking about violent video game debate and other things. He's a good friend of mine, Patrick Scott Patterson. How are you doing today, man?
I'm doing all right. Some things are busy here, and I've been toiling away at a little something the last few days, and
Yeah, the
it's been,
secret project we've been hearing
yeah,
about.
yeah. I tease things, so I just, it just, just a little something that I'm cooking up here. Everybody will find out about it pretty quick. It's pretty cool. I like how it's turning out.
Yeah, sounds interesting. I'm looking forward to hearing about it. So for the guys out there who don't really know who you are quite yet, you're kind of the guy that everybody goes to for the opinion on video games, like the total opinion on everything in video games. And you've done media appearances, you've done panels at Comic-Con, you've done all kinds of other cool things. How did you get started in all this stuff?
Well, I mean, video games were my first love. I sunk a quarter into a Pac-Man machine in September 1981. I was just about to turn 6 years old, and I've always stuck with video games since, and not just one era. Not to knock anyone that sticks in the one era that they like, but I've kept with it the whole time, and I just love what video gaming is, what it can bring to you, just the whole history of it. And I've spent as much time studying the history of it as I have probably playing games.
Mm.
And so, it was a few years ago that, once again, certain things were going out into the mainstream about video games, some of which was stereotypical, some of which was the same tired rhetoric we've heard for decades. I did a little work with G4 during E3 2009, and I found that my knowledge on what I knew was useful to them because they didn't have that information. They didn't have that.
Yeah.
And sorry, something going on behind me there. And so I was asking myself one day, the lights kind of came on with that, and I was asking myself one day, like, watching the news and just be like, why does it video games become this big thing, but I can't turn on my TV and see video game people like I can movies, like I can TV, musicians, all that sort of thing. Why don't I see that? Why don't I see the news bringing on people who are actually experts on video games when they talk about video games instead of some bad comb-over psychology expert that probably doesn't even know which button is the X button.
Yeah.
And the only thing I can conclude was because nobody was trying to do it that way.
Yeah.
You get a million people making YouTube videos and doing Twitches, and Let's Plays and unboxings. Ooh, there's a disc in here. But, not to knock anybody like that, except for the unboxing one. I do find those silly sometimes. But if it's a new console or something, I understand it. When it's a game, I know there's a disc inside and probably a thing telling you that they're going to get more money from you in 3 months with DLC. I'm over it. I don't need to know that. I don't even care what the disc looks like. I want the game.
I think there was an unboxing once where it was in Indie Game the movie. They were showing some of the videos for Super Meat Boy, and the unboxing was the guy scratching off his Xbox points cards and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, but I mean, it was no one that's trying to go out and be that person for the general population, for the mainstream, which makes up the majority of gamers anyway. They don't classify themselves as gamers, but they are. They just don't go to IGN and Kotaku every day, and they think E3 is something you yell out when you're playing Battleship. But they're into video gaming. They play video games, buy video game consoles and video game product. And so I was like, if no one else is trying to do it this way, instead of sitting around and wishing, why not me?
Yeah, being the guy who's you're out there standing up for a lot of us, and standing up for a lot of the issues that kind of plague the gaming culture and how it's stereotyped and things like that. So yeah, it's good to see somebody like you out there, who has as much knowledge as you do, actually standing up for guys like myself. And I'm been around since '85. You've been around a lot longer. So my first game was Mega Man 2. So I mean, I got my
Well,
homework, but yeah.
I mean, that's it. The thing is, and the important thing is, when I go to these events and I do these panels and I talk to people on social media and gamers and that sort of thing, is I'm not just trying to speak for myself. I mean, obviously, I could go on the news or I could go to a panel. I could talk about all my thoughts and my personal feelings all day. I got plenty of them. But I'm trying not to just do that. I'm trying to use the opportunity to speak for everyone else that has spoken to me. Everyone else that's frustrated at how the mainstream media seems to think video games are something enjoyed by 13-year-old boys only, or that video games make people violent, or that everybody that plays video games are some introverted basement dwellers, unemployed, all that sort of stuff. Instead of treating it like a mainstream pop culture entertainment, just like they do films and sports and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And so I if anything, kind of be the voice of the voiceless, because it's hard as hell to get the mainstream media to pay any attention to someone who says they're a video game expert.
Yeah,
it's taken me years. It taken me years of leaning on them and getting all up in them, to get the opportunities I have had.
And even now, still, I remember you had a little. Who was the most recent one you had trouble with getting an interview with? Some personality on TV you were going to go on and talk about the violent video game stuff with?
Well, I mean, there's always some. I mean,
there always ones that turn you down.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, there's they haven't done it in a while. Surprisingly, there's been several violent acts in America over the last few months without the media blaming video games. It's kind of surprising.
Yeah, I think they're on there once in a while.
Yeah, they're on a streak right now.
Good one.
But the last times they did, I mean, I remember Fox News specifically when Grand Theft Auto 5 was getting ready to come out. They literally were putting up a story every single day for about 10 days leading up to the release about violent video games. Then there was that Naval Yard shooting like 2 days before it came out. So they did like another 6 or 7 or 8 of them. And I was on the phone calling them every single day, asking them, saying, look, you want to talk all this narrative about video games, and you want to talk to all these people about it, except the people who actually are down in the trenches and playing them. You never want to do that. Another one, Katie Couric's talk show last year. That was another one. They did a 60-minute thing about the evils and dangers of video game addiction with no counterpoint from anybody on the other side of the spectrum. And that one actually got pretty heated on Twitter, and I'll give her or maybe her producers or social media people a little credit because they actually did respond to me.
Oh, really?
And saying, well, we've made us consider we're gonna give the counterpoint some airtime. And what they did was they read 3 or 4 tweets across about 60 seconds that were in response to it. That was their equal time, but none of which were mine, by the way. But I mean, that's all the time. It is. It's. I've thrown challenges out to debate senators that have been on this. They've always been turned down. I've sent out challenges to Glenn Beck, who does a lot of that stuff. He's based here locally.
Oh, really?
He's based here locally. Well, he actually makes fun of video gamers.
Yeah,
video gamers have called his show, and he's trolled them, and told them Star Wars geeks and Mom's Basement and stuff. And
Yep.
I've got producers at times that have touched base with me, like, well, we'll forward this to him. Most of the time, they ignore it. So far, nothing.
I don't think he wants anyone to argue with him.
Well, but that's the thing is that I just keep getting louder and louder and building up a bigger and bigger audience and doing events like South by Southwest and Comic-Con and events like that. They want to have me out and put me up in front of a microphone. If those events will do it, then I figure that the media eventually I'm going to get too loud for them to ignore, and then all of us gamers that have been frustrated at how the media portrays video games, maybe we'll finally have our moment where I can cut them down on live TV on a national scale. Done it locally, but nationally, that's where you really resonate, man.
Definitely. Well, speaking of the controversial stuff, keeping it in video games, you've become this huge proponent for women in gaming, which has always carried some kind. It's carried a little bit of a stigma with it that's kind of given them like a bad rap about things. A lot of people don't really see it from the right perspective. So like, how are you trying to bring that forward and defend that? The stereotypes and the things that are going on with that.
Well, I mean, to me, I mean, again, I've been gaming since 1981, and I never subscribed to the notion that women playing video games was somehow unusual. There was always, growing up, as many girls in the arcades that I went to as there were boys. I grew up as a teenager, and I knew a lot of girls in middle school and high school that played video games. My wife, I met her in high school. She was my high school sweetheart. She played video games. She goes all the way back to 82, 83 herself. It's never. I don't think that it's. I think it's become more balanced, but I don't think it's ever been so abnormal. I mean, I've even got footage of Howard Phillips from Nintendo talking in 1990 about how 30% of their market at that time were women or female. I mean, 30%. That's not that's a minority on the math scale, right? But
Sure.
it's not some overwhelming niche. I mean, it's you're almost pushing halfway. And nowadays it is halfway. And it the first time I really noticed it from my seat, I mean, I'd heard it bits and pieces over time, but I went to E3 in 2011, and I met a couple of competitive gamers who happened to be women, and they and I struck up a conversation. Nothing, just small talk. We're all waiting for the same thing, and they tell me that they're there to compete on something, and they were really cool. So I'm going around looking at other websites' pictures of the event, and honestly, trying to see if I pop up in any of them. And you never know, right? But I see only the men that were there to compete in that competition are the only ones that are mentioned or photographed in there. All these women that were in there, none of them appeared in it. But all those sites had plenty of pictures of booth babes, right?
Yeah.
And I was just like, dude, this isn't right. And then around the same time, I saw somebody somewhere posting saying that the stats about women gamers is bogus, saying that, oh, well, they're just counting ones that are playing, Candy Crush at Farmville. They're not actual gamers. And I know that's not true.
Yeah.
So I thought I'm going to do a week of feature articles on women gamers from all walks of it, from the pros and the people in broadcasting to some of the younger ones just starting out or doing blogs, whatever.
Yeah.
And in 6.5 days, that series got 111,806 unique views.
Wow.
And at that point in time, I didn't have. I mean, at that point on my Twitter, I think was maybe 300 or 400 people at most.
Oh.
I mean, I didn't have a platform to promote things on then, like I do, now. And I was like, wow, there's something here. So I've just always continued to do that. And when I do these features, I don't focus on the fact of it's a girl, it's a pretty girl, and she plays video games. It's just a feature just like anyone else. Yeah. It talks about them and their story and their accomplishments and their goals and their advice or whatever else, their adventures in video gaming, without having to point out that they got a pair of boobs. I mean, without having to focus on them, without things like, the beautiful or the vivacious or whatever that you see other places do. I don't do it that way. Yeah. And now we are. I'm one of the co-writers for an upcoming film project. Literally is in like pre-production, called No Princess in the Castle. Yes. That I'm honored as to how I got asked to help write this film was because when it was pitched and conceptualized, I'm told the film was inspired by how I do these features on women in video gaming.
Oh wow, that must have been fun.
Therefore, they asked me to be in their co-writing and even helping narrate it from time to time, and I had to say yes. And I'm hoping that'll be the next step because it's going to be done in that same style. It's not going to be a bunch of cosplay shots No
Yeah.
knock on anyone that cosplays, but
Yeah, of course
it's
not.
not. But it's not going to go that way. It's not going to focus on sexuality and gender so much as it's just going to happen to feature a bunch of women and go along with their stories and try to put it on an equal plane as you would these many video game films these days that talk to a bunch of guys and
Mhm.
tell their stories. Kind of equal playing field. And if it's done right, and I think it will be, we got a tremendous crew working on this thing. It could go and should go a long way. I mean, it's
It's
and I think it's little things. You'll never catch me using the term girl gamer. I don't even use the term girl. If I got to refer to gender, they're a woman.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, if I have to refer to gender, preferably I don't have to at all.
Yeah.
But I don't use terms like girl gamer or anything like that. To me, that's anyone that
It's
says that to me makes me
yeah.
upset. I can imagine how a lot of the women who play games feel that same way. I don't use that term. I don't use that terminology or focus on their gender. It just happens to be their gender, and that's the way it should be. That's the underlying message, and it's
Yeah.
something I'm going to continue to do for as long as I'm able to.
Yeah.
At least until that stereotype is gone.
It's I think it's really cool just because you're taking that issue and it was an issue. It's like something that people kind of look at. I don't know what the stupid famous quote is. There's no such thing as girls on the internet or something like that. Some stupid crap like that. But I mean, I think we're definitely in a transition period. Things are becoming more open, and these kinds of things are leading the hall, like what these projects you're doing with these people, and opening people's minds to things like this. That there was no issue in the first place. There shouldn't have been. There never should have been, and people need to start communicating about that, and figuring out, wow, this is actually normal. This is
Well,
a normal thing.
Well, that's one of the things I try to do with everything I do, especially dealing with the media or the things I put out there, is I want to break these stereotypes about gaming. And unfortunately, a lot of the stereotypes in gaming come from within it. It's I had a teacher when I was younger. It inspired me in a lot of ways. And one of the things she told me one time, she was actually my journalism teacher in high school. She was that teacher that changed my life. And one of the things she taught me was when trying to help develop me into creating content and that sort of thing and telling people stories was that I can't do this based on my own point of view. And she used this analogy like this, saying, if you look out the window, you're going to see a scene. You know that what you see out the window is not what the entire world is like. There's places in the world covered in snow, and there's mountains, and there's valleys, and there's oceans. There's all types of different architecture, all types of different people, walks of life. What you see out that window is not the only way that the world looks. And that resonated with me. It's so true. But a lot of people in gaming, unfortunately, they do exactly that, and they use just their own experiences and their own thing. So because they hang out with 8 or 10 other guys and have a big sausage fest on Call of Duty every night, they think that that's the whole world of gaming, and it's exactly like that. Since there's no girls in there, then there's no girls that play games. And since they think saying pwn sounds cool, then they think that they should keep saying it. Lately, that's X-Bone. I'm sorry. That was funny. That was funny for about 30 seconds. If you're still saying X-Bone, you're not cool. You just sound like a dork.
Yeah.
But that's what it is. And they put themselves on these little islands and they stay in these little bubbles. And that's unfortunate because there's so much more to see and experience in video gaming. And so that's what I try to bring. I try to bring that view, not just for mainstream media, mainstream entertainment, but for those gamers that I feel are trapped in these little bubbles. They're missing out on what this whole thing really is. And biggest way to do a lot of that is to shatter these misconceptions and these stereotypes, like the ones that say that women don't game, or the ones that say that video gamers don't talk to other people, and they're these little introverts, and they're losers, and they're unemployed, and they're unwashed, and whatever. I mean, sure, we have some that fit these descriptions. There's a reason stereotypes exist in this world. You can bring any stereotype out there and you'll find someone to fit that, but you'll find 10 that don't.
Yeah.
And it's the same way with video gaming.
Spoken like a true champ. That's you hit it on the head. I'm telling you. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing No Princess in the Castle. Was it 2015?
2016 is like the drop dead date right now. I mean,
okay.
Obviously, hopefully, 2015. I mean, a little closer, but I mean, it's it's as well as anybody. It's a total crapshoot on putting a date on something like this and knowing for sure if you'll hit it. So it's like put it way out there. And no one can say that we're behind schedule. Like I said, right now it's mostly just assembling the cast and the crew and starting to kind of pre-promote it and get a little bit of a buzz. I think
I've been seeing a lot of the updates on Facebook, like new appearances all the time from new personalities all the time. It's just like constant flowing, and we have this person doing the soundtrack now, and all this goes. So many updates. It's just so cool to see. Like it's so active and alive, and I love seeing that. So
yeah, let's try to create a little buzz as it gets moving here, but like I said. If there was a category on IMDb to put in pre-production, I would go in and make the edit myself. Unfortunately, it doesn't exist. But so like I said, it's super early on. But once the wheels, the car's put together and the spark plugs are in, and we hit the wheels on the road of this thing, we're going to make some magic, I think.
Excellent. Definitely looking forward to that. So I was going to talk about too. You've given me a lot of advice, like in my own struggles stuff. You saw my first film, so you can relate to that in a lot of ways. As far as struggling and getting through the day to day when you don't know what's going to happen next, type of thing. What kind of advice would you give to the typical person out there, maybe an indie developer or something like that, who's really just trying to make it and just nothing's happening for them? Because I think it could really make some use for them to have some advice from somebody like you who's been through the same stuff and look where you're at now.
Well, that's one of the things that stuck out to me the most about your film was, I mean, you put your bank balance. What there wasn't a bank balance, you put that up on the screen, and you're talking about, gas station coffee instead of anything good, and all that. I've been there, man. I've been at, ramen for 3 squares a day thing. I used to, gas station hot dogs were another trick. There was a place that sold like 3 for 99 cents. And
I think I hit that jackpot once.
Yeah, they weren't really worth the price you paid.
No.
But but it was a nice change of pace from water noodles.
Yeah, but I was hungry, man.
Yeah, exactly, man. I've been there. Been there, and even in recent years, I mean, I was there. I was from 2005 till 2008. I was primarily doing like arcade sales and restoration and repairs. And when the economy, I was doing well too, man. And the economy hit the skids, and literally, I mean, you could almost like you push it off a table, just splat. It happened to everybody in the area that did it, and I managed to hold on a little longer because I kept my overhead lower. But that's the same thing. Suddenly, I went from making all this money, and then boom, my expenses still stayed here, but the profit, the income went boom. So suddenly, that money went away super quick. And I kind of started to phase out of that a little bit. I wanted to do other things in video gaming anyway. And that's the thing. I told someone the other day, I touched on it earlier, when the lights came on for me, was having that opportunity at E3 2009 to work with G4 TV. We brought Steve Wiebe on to do a Donkey Kong world record attempt. It's the only time there's ever been a live world record attempt for any video game on live primetime television. And I was in every aspect of that, from the planning stage to helping be a consulting producer during it. It was even my machine that he played on. That they shipped it out there, and I was there on hand in case anything went wrong with it. And we made magic, and it was awesome. The lights came on, like all this crap that I've been studying for all this time, and the sum of all these other things that I'd studied officially over time all had a use. I need to figure out how to do this more. And that was in 2009. That was June 2009. And it was just starting on this whole thing. And it wasn't until June 2012 that I finally had a couple of more of those aha moments. And it wasn't until last year that I actually started making tangible money doing this and starting to get opportunities to speak at events. And it wasn't until this year that I stopped having to go out as much as I was, and I got more people coming to me now. Instead of me having to go out and throw pitches, which I still do that, it takes a long time. And if you look at this, if you look at anything in life, you look at anyone in the history books, past or more modern day, it's always the same. That's always the narrative. That's always the story with them. Very few people are ever an overnight success. Usually those that are, it's like one-hit wonder. Just they're one and done. It's over with.
Yep.
It takes a long time, and it is so damn hard to do that. It's hard to look at your bank balance and go, where'd my money go? How am I going to eat tomorrow? How am I going to replace the tires on my car? Okay, I've been there. Yeah. And it's hard. It's really easy to look at that and go, maybe I should just stop this and just go find a time clock to punch somewhere. But the thing is about it, if you do that, then you gave up and you quit. And if you never quit, you don't lose. You never lose. If you believe in what you're doing and you stay focused on it and never stop learning, that's the biggest part about it. Never stop learning. Listen to constructive criticism. Even listen to some of your trolls, because every so often, no matter how nutty they are, about one time out of 100, but they'll come up with something that's a slight nugget of wisdom, and even the other 99 times, you just get an example of how not to act. But you just got to keep going at it, and if you believe in it and you keep developing it and you take notes of what does work and what doesn't, where does there seem to be something and where does there not, what can I get better at, what do I need to do more of, what do I need to do less of. Never stop learning and evolving and developing yourself. Also have light bulbs on hand just in case this happens. What happened to you?
Right.
There you go. Always have lights on hand.
But I've learned a lot about lighting. Trust me.
but I mean, that's the thing about it. It is so hard. And even now, I mean, you flatter me. I feel like you flatter me saying something like, "Look at you now." Whereas now, are we comfortable? Yeah, we pay all our bills every month. We have money left over. We can buy nice shiny things. Bought a new car and bought new iPhones and bought an Xbox One at launch and didn't miss the money. It feels good, especially since I busted my ass to get here. But I'm not so comfortable that I'm living in a nice house and have another car and have an expensive suit and a pair of shoes. And, I'm not there yet either. So it's like I'm gotten to a point where I'm comfortable, but I'm not highballing it here.
Yeah.
And to me, there's so much to go. Where I was like, I feel like I've come a long way? Yeah. But my goals are so much further away. There's still so much more road to do, but that's assuming that I don't know that I'll ever be satisfied at the same time, and I don't think you can be.
Yeah, I definitely don't. I
don't think you can be. I don't think you can be. If you ever become complacent, maybe that's the best way to put this. Complacency sucks. If you ever become complacent and settle into a role where you're comfortable, then your passion is gone.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's the biggest thing about it. Keep passion alive either way. Whatever your level of success, and keep going at it. You're gonna get somewhere. It's gonna lead you somewhere.
Yeah, the one thing I said, if I ever made it, and maybe I do a panel or something like that, and somebody asked me a question about what do I do? My advice is say, if you're getting started, if you're willing to put in 10 years of just pain and agony and effort and learn every bit of your lesson from it, then maybe you belong in this industry. Maybe you belong in any creative industry, because I've done both film and games, and it's the same stuff. Any kind of creative stuff, there's so much blood, sweat, and tears that goes into it. It takes a long time, like you said. It's a very long time.
Well, and a lot of times people don't even see that stuff.
Yeah, they don't.
I mean, I had someone else that flatters me saying things like you're saying that was fairly new to me, and they're like, "Well, you got all these things going on, and I just learned about you or whatever." And same question, how'd you get started in this? And it's they had no idea that it's been this long path, and I mean it's even true of huge entertainment stars.
Mm-hmm.
Katy Perry.
Yeah.
A lot of people when she burst on the scene, this new sensation. She'd been rejected by 2 other labels already, and had all this other stuff that just totally flopped for years and years and years and years and years before she had that sudden thing. Or I even think about another mainstream entertainment example. Think about Bryan Cranston. Played Walter White on Breaking Bad. I mean, everyone's like, he's in his 60s. He's been in acting since the 1970s, and he has done bit parts almost the entire time, mostly commercials and some voiceover stuff and some one-shot roles, even some background stuff. He even appears in like an old goofy Atari 2600 game commercial. It's hilarious. He's in it for like 2 seconds, right?
I think I saw that one.
And then, and the thing, he had Malcolm in the Middle, and that show did all right for a while, but he also wasn't the focal point of the show.
Yes.
And then that went away, and then he didn't have anything else for a long time. And then at 60-something years old, he gets the opportunity to play this role that I think almost universally people have to say is one of the greatest performances of a character in all of entertainment history. That show is just so damn good from start to finish. It took him all that time to get that one thing that will define him when he's gone. And of course now he's getting opportunities, now he's getting offers. But that's how long it took him. Now hopefully not, it doesn't take me that long to have that thing that I say is this is what will permanently define me. Hopefully it doesn't take anyone that long, but it goes to show you he never quit.
Yeah,
he didn't say after a while going, I can't even get a Taco Bell commercial now. I'm going to get out of this. So he stayed at it. It's what he loved to do. It's what he wanted to do. And he finally got that opportunity. And he finally got that. He finally has that respect. It takes a long
and
time.
I gotta say too that again it's such a long hard road, but the feeling whenever you do finally get to where you're going, maybe everything just falls together. There's no explanation for it.
You gotta have the short-term goals too, and that's what keeps me going. I'll never revealed this before, so maybe that's the best way to do it. I'll try to, obviously, like I said, I got my long-term goals, and I mean, I've never been shy about them. I don't see why I can't be the guy that's in the Tonight Show chair to talk about video games to Jimmy Fallon someday. I don't see why I can't be that guy. I literally don't see a limit. Just because it hasn't been done before for someone attached to video games doesn't mean it can't be.
Yeah.
And I think I can be that guy if I keep at it. Or at least if I can't be, I can help open the door for someone else to come along and do it. Assuming that they are willing to put in the same work, because believe me, that door doesn't stay open very long. But
it doesn't.
I set little goals and set little things, and I plan this stuff out. I mean, you mentioned, you gave me a smile. You mentioned that feeling. E3 2012. That was my arrival. I had built up some things, and I'd done some things. I showed up there. I hadn't been seen or photographed in 6 months. I'd lost 60 pounds, got my teeth fixed, cleaned my appearance up a little bit, walked in there, blue sunglasses on. I'm going to own this event. I'm going to shake every hand in this joint. I'm going to give out every business card I brought. And I pulled it off. To this point in time, I'm still not 100% certain, because I maybe knew 5 people in the place. But somehow I was waved up to Microsoft VIP and hung with Deshaun Jackson. Walked the red carpet at the movie premiere for Noobs. Got in a VIP at Video Games Live and finally met Nolan Bushnell, who's my damn hero. You know, I look like a kid at Christmas in the picture I got with him. You can see it on my face. You know, I don't look like I'm trying to be all cool and badass. You can see it on my face. I'm like, you know, I got into a photo op and hung out with Reggie from Nintendo, and you know, was on the G4 set, which, you know, turned out that was the last time that would ever happen. You know, just all these things. I remember coming out of the event just so euphoric and just be like, this can happen. This can happen. And that carried me forward for a while longer. And then last year, you know, same thing. You know, I wanted to kind of get back in it. I'd had a rough end of 2012, a lot of personal things. Yeah. And I was a lot of things that hurt me. And I pulled past that, and then that's when I started setting the more short-term stuff. Like, okay, and then try to nail this. Like, I'm going to try to, you know, I started offering panels. So I'm like, I'm going to try to land a major panel somewhere. And then Comic-Con said yes. I went and did that. And that didn't even dawn on me. I actually didn't. I did a one-shot to Comic-Con. I flew in the morning on my panel, looked around the event, met with a few people, went and did the panel. We went and did a little after party, went in the hotel, went back out the next morning, caught a plane home. That was it. In and out, in and out. And I was happy. I thought it went well. It didn't actually hit me until 2 days later, and I'm watching online, a Walking Dead cast is doing a panel at Comic-Con.
Yeah.
And Norman Reedus is near this to camera, and he's got the little placard in front of him with the logo and his name on it. And I took my placard and had it on my desk next to the monitor at that time, placard with my name on it and that logo, and I was like, oh crap, what did I just do?
Yeah.
You know, and then that feeling that came over, that the same feeling you described, managed to get me, and it's carried me actually to where I am now. Now I've got South by Southwest coming up. That's even, I argue, that's even bigger than hosting a panel at Comic-Con.
It's huge.
Yeah. And you know, and everything right now is leading towards that. I obviously I've got things booked out beyond that already.
Sure.
I had someone today pitch an event they're doing in November, and I'm like, November might as well be a million miles away from me right now. I can't think about November right now. I can't even think about April yet.
It goes by so fast, though.
But that's the thing, South by Southwest, that's March 9th, Sunday, March 9th. We're doing the panel there. Rachel Laura, Crafton Redbeard, they're joining me. South by Southwest is promoting it. They're promoting this. They're thinking that this is going to be a big thing for them. Which, again, I can't even wrap my head around that. That's my goal right now. My focus, that's the short-term goal, is to go there right now and rock that thing. Hit a grand slam home run, because not just because I want to do it for the obvious professional reasons, and to get an awesome message about video gaming out there to an audience that maybe isn't all into video games as much as some other events are, but because that feeling that you described, that can charge my batteries enough, that's going to push me to the next stuff, the next things I have going on. That is almost your lifeblood. So I think that some people, if they can't find that feeling, they need to set something that is short-term but big, so they can get that feeling and use that to carry on to the last thing, or to the bigger things, because maybe then it won't, all those struggles that we talked about earlier in this won't seem so momentous.
Yeah.
Because you at least have that one thing you just proved to yourself and everyone else you can do.
Yeah, I mean, it was PAX East in Boston last March for me. That was my first convention. It's the most incredible experience of my life. You know, I got to see the city and everything too. That was beautiful, whatever. GDC next month. Oh,
awesome.
I'm officially going to be at GDC next month, so it's like, my head.
Look at the smile on your face. Look at the smile on your face.
Yeah,
I love it.
I'm ecstatic, dude. I'm ecstatic.
I love it. That smile right there, that says it all, dude. Look at that grin. You can't stop.
It's that feeling. It's that feeling, you know? But I mean, for you, like, this is like my second convention. I saw your lanyard pile hanging off of the hook there. You've been to so much stuff. Is there any way you can pick just one of them out that like stood out to you so much?
It's kind of hard. I
Yeah,
mean, I mean, like I said, there was E3 2009 when the lights came on for me.
yeah.
And so it proved to myself what I can do if someone just gives me the opportunity. And 2012, that comes to mind, all that stuff I mentioned, and of course Comic-Con last year. But I think the one moment the most was it was attached to E3 2012. It was the red carpet walk for the Noobs movie premiere,
Yeah.
which it wasn't so much for some reason. It just, I mean, this is what it is. My life has been such a surreal series of moments anyway. Sometimes some of this stuff doesn't faze me anymore. There's very few celebrities that if I, that I'll gush over meeting. Otherwise, it's just like, hey, cool. Hey, it's nice to meet you. And then there's a few. It's mostly ones I've never met. Not so far that I would probably be catatonic and trip over my words if I met them.
Yeah.
But, and there's been some already like that. Like I said, the Nolan Bushnell thing, I mean, it looks like I'm about to give him a big hug in that picture, like, oh my God, it's you. But it was going on that red carpet and just moments before it. Are profanities okay on here?
Yeah, go for it.
It'll lose a little effect if this.
We'll put a disclaimer. Go for it.
We're standing there, and we're getting ready for our turn, and the little group of gamers that we're going up. I'm part of that's going to walk across it, and first thing I do is look up, and I see Ron Livingston. He's up on the carpet ahead of us with some other people, and I literally blurt out without even realizing where I am, "Holy shit! It's the guy from Office Space!" and the event person was like, "Shh, quiet." I'm like, that's when I look and realize that there's paparazzi.
Yeah.
Now it's not probably the same paparazzi that chases down, J-Lo or goes to a Justin Bieber arrest or something like that, but it's still it's a press corps. They're professional photographers, and they got to get pictures of all these stars, and they got to do all that, right? And it's like, oh crap, I'm about to be in front of these people. Wait a minute, how did I get here? And so we go up there and we do our thing with the producer and all that sort of stuff, and I have the sunglasses down. Right?
Yeah.
And the flash bulbs start going off, which is a good thing I had the sunglasses on. I don't know how. I think all celebrities should wear sunglasses, because that blinded me right there. But the point is some of the people, they're like, hey, over here, look, they're trying to get people's attention that they want shots of, and yeah, the inner monologue, and I actually just thought of a second time. I'll get to that in a second. I know I'm rambling a little here. My inner monologue at that point in time just goes like, I could so get used to this.
Yeah.
Wow, this is awesome. Like, this is incredible. How is this? How am I doing this right now? Wait a minute. What am I doing here? And, but it's like, I would love, it's like the Wonder Years. Suddenly this voice just comes out of nowhere that only I can hear. I just thought of the only other time that happened was actually the Screw Attack Gaming Convention last year too. Oddly enough, not Comic-Con. Comic-Con didn't seem like this to me, even though I'm there with the creator of Qbert, and I'm there with David Eddings from from Gearbox Software and all that. And for some reason, that seemed I was comfortable there. I don't know why. The Screw Attack Gaming Convention, a panel I was hosting there on violent video game debate, and I asked Adam Sessler to sit on my panel. To me, he lives on Mount Olympus, everything that he's done. And I was like, if he's already going to be there at the event, I can't host this panel and not ask him. I don't even know if the convention even thought I could get him to say yeah. But I've known him a little bit. I've met him a few times in passing, but I didn't know him real well. Well, he said yes.
Wow.
And we go up there, and I even offered him the middle chair, and he's like, it's your panel. It's your show. And so I do the introductions. I introduce Pink to my right, introduce myself, introduce him. Of course, he gets the biggest applause in the joint. I didn't even get his name out yet. Here we have, but
They all knew.
yeah, and Pink makes her opening statement. I make my opening statement. I didn't know what Adam said in his opening statement until I watched the video later. Because as he's talking, that's when it went across my head again, going, Adam Sessler's sitting next to me on my panel and has deferred to me to run my panel, even though I have I have no delusions about who the marquee player in this trio is right here. But it's like going in my mind, and I'm like, but he's sitting here, and it doesn't seem weird to me. I'm like, wow, this doesn't seem this doesn't seem too far out of my reach anymore. I'm not freaking out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just kind of like trying to analyze it. And of course, then he turns to me and is like, "What do you think about that, Scott?" And I'm like, "I don't know what he said."
Did Adam Sessler just ask me a question?
Well, no, but it's like I don't know what he said, right?
Yeah.
So I just gave a narrative about the violent video game. Then you watch the video, you never know that I had no idea what he said.
Yeah.
My brain was talking to me at the time, like, this is happening.
Yeah.
And and so those are the ones that stand out because I don't know. I just like I said, that one probably even more now that I talk about it out loud because it was the part of, and this doesn't seem strange to me. Yeah. It's like I finally accept it. I'm my own worst critic. And anyone that really follows me, that's probably pretty hard to believe because I got some people out there that say some nasty stuff about me. Mm-hmm. 99% of it has zero truth and is not fair at all. And I don't even know where these people come from. I'm like, I mean, literally at this point, they might as well call themselves fiction writers. But the point is that I just, I have a hard time. I want to keep my feet on the ground, and at the same time, I don't want to overestimate what I'm doing. I don't want to sell myself short and underestimate what I can do.
Yeah. And
that was that moment in time where I don't know if Adam saw me as a peer that day. I wasn't in his brain. But at least at that moment, I realized that if I'm not right now, that I could be.
Yeah.
Because he's sitting here next to me. I don't think this is weird, but no one else thought it was weird either.
Yeah.
And that was a cool moment too.
Yeah. The cool thing too, Adam has agreed to be in my next film, so he'll be in that as well, talking video games and art and violent video game stuff.
And I will tell you, first of all, brilliant choice. Secondly, if you think I wave my hands around a lot when I talk, just letting you know, give the man some room, okay?
Yeah.
Just give him some room.
Yeah, and also David Eddings too. He's voice of Claptrap. Everybody knows Borderlands. So
yeah, friend of mine.
He's gonna be at GDC. He's gonna hook up with me too, man. It's gonna be awesome.
That is awesome. That's awesome. That's great news, man. That's really awesome stuff, man. I'm glad to hear it because I know you were having a couple of struggles with this film.
This is how it happens. It just turns around in like 2 days.
Yeah, you just
it hits you when you least expect it.
Just as long as you just keep doing it.
Yep.
Everything will come. It's not Field of Dreams. It's not if you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
They don't come to you, but just keep doing it. That's awesome for you, man.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Last one. What do you think is going to be the next big thing in gaming? What's going to lead the way for this transitionary period, this next chapter in gaming?
Well, that's what it is. I think that it's that label of gaming probably finally going away. For some reason, I spoke of it earlier, a lot of gamers put themselves off on this one thing. I don't even like the label. I don't think it's necessary. Video gaming, for some reason, is still seen outside of film, television, music, books, sports, pretty much anything. I mean, even the Nathan's hot dog eating contest gets more press coverage than most video game stuff does, which is a shame, by the way. But I think you're finally starting to see that transition where first of all media is changing right now. Traditional cable TV, broadcast TV, by the end of this decade will not exist like we know them now. I think you're going to start seeing more of these a la carte type of things show up, that you subscribe to them. So instead of paying $120 a month for your cable bill, which is, has 120 channels and you watch 5, you just buy subscriptions to those 5 content providers and you watch their stuff. And it's already been happening with Netflix. It's already been happening with Hulu Plus. WWE Network is, I think, is the prototype. This is exactly they're the first that are saying we got the balls enough to go do this and not wait for the trend to come in. We're going to jump in there. Everyone else is talking about it or considering it or even oblivious to it. This is the way it's going. We're going this way. We're doing it, and I think that's how things are going. And I know I'm going to get some heat for this, not as much as I would have a year ago, but I think this is where the Xbox One, I think, as much as everyone that was, we're gamers, yay, people, said that they hate this stuff. We hate all this all this entertainment integration crap. We don't want it. We don't need it. I think they see where it's going, and that's why it's there, and that's why they promoted it so much, because they know this is coming. Maybe they were ahead of the curve a little too much, but I think that's what it is. I think that the next big thing for gaming is people in gaming and outside of it finally realizing that video gaming already is mainstream. Video gaming is pop culture. It's not a case of it's becoming that. It already is that. The problem is that no one is willing seemingly to accept it yet. And it didn't happen from the outside out. It's not like people outside the mainstream went, that looks pretty cool. We're going to get into that. It happened from the outside in, because those first generations that grew up in an era that never knew a world that didn't have video games.
Yeah.
They've grown up. They are parents. They are teachers. They're firefighters. They're doctors. They're lawyers. They're politicians. They're television producers. They are pro athletes. They are musicians. They're authors. They are all of that. They've grown up, and video gaming and how it influenced them is influenced everything. It's influenced who they became.
Yeah.
Just like a movie. Just like everyone has a movie they say inspired them. Everyone has a song they say reminds them of something. Everyone, whether they realize or not, has a video game that does that same thing. Those generations are now adults, and they're not young adults anymore either. And not killing people, by the way, Fox News, the vast majority of them. So that's what it is, and that's the whole basis of what I'm doing, because it's not a case of I think it'll be that way someday. It's becoming that now. And it's becoming that now at a time where all media is changing as well, and when the change is finally there, let's just say by the end of this decade, I think this kind, traditional cable TV, traditional video game content, how all that stuff's delivered is going to look like a flip phone does to us right now.
Yeah, definitely.